I'm really glad to see you again. The last, 3 weeks have been pretty crazy. Like I mentioned in the description of the last video, there was a major snowfall in Jorvik, resulting in power blackouts and a lot of anxiety on my family's side. Fortunately, everything turned out okay, and the situation is now under control. All the horses at the SEC haven't been harmed either, which was my biggest concern. But besides that, my life has been pretty great. School's going well, and I had a blast at New Year's Eve with my girlfriend. Christmas was fun too, my horses got tons of treats. I'm a bit sad I couldn't post anything though, and I also didn't have time to record either. But now I'm back, and that makes me super happy. The winter in Jorvik is really beautiful, and I actually have a couple clips of me riding one horse on a little trail ride around Silverglade, and I'm going to show it to you because, oh my gosh, the snow is just amazing. I'm leaving my apartment now to go and get some coffee and breakfast before I head to the SEC for working with one horse that is actually part of my classes at Jorvik Equine College. I said coffee, but what I drink is actually a mocha, which is basically just hot chocolate with just a little bit of coffee, so it's not really anything strong because I don't actually like coffee. While waiting for my coffee, I called one of my classmates who has a car and a driving license because I don't own one, and they offered me a ride. So after I finished my drink, I went outside to wait for them by the road. When we arrived, we headed to the pastures right away to get some horses back to the barn. Despite what you may think, horses in Jorvik can handle this cold weather actually very well, since they're pretty used to it, and actually some of them are draft horses who, as we all know, are more resistant to cold. I took care of 3 horses while the others took care of the rest, because my task for today was also organizing the barn a little bit and doing some other things with the horses that I'm going to show you later. There was a huge mess in the storage room. I cleaned it up, which was really satisfying, but I forgot to film it. What I'm doing now is grabbing some ointments and wraps to wrap up the legs of 2 horses from the sports section. We wrap up the legs of horses in our barn to keep them warm and also protect them from injuries. Not all horses need it though, but some of them do because they're more sensitive than the others. After that task is complete, I move on to checking the hay nets in the stalls. What I have to do next, almost right away, is get 2 horses ready for the lessons. The other students cleaned them up, so the only thing that's left for me is to put on tack. Next, I have some time for a little bit of me-centered activities, so I go and practice my jumps. We might have a riding hole here at SEC, but it is far away from the barn, and when it's cold, you have to literally run down here. This is Pepper, one of SEC's many lesson horses. He teaches mainly jumping and some dressage basics. I have been to a couple of shows with him when I was younger, and I'm using him today because I was allowed to, which I'm very thankful. What I'm gonna do here is just some plain warm-up, walk, trot, canter, and maybe do a little bit of pole work to then move on to jumping. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I kind of regret that Pepper isn't shown in dressage more because his trot is just so gorgeous, and he's going to be retired from showing soon, so that's a real shame. The reason for Pepper's retirement isn't anything serious. We just want him to be more of a lesson horse than a show horse, and he's already 15 years old, so that's a little bit old for a show horse. Of course, some horses show at an even older age than Pepper, but we really care for him and we don't want to put too much strain on his joints, especially since he jumps higher jumps. His scope is around like 120 centimeters to 130, maybe 135, but again, since he's older now, we tend to not really use him for super high jumps anymore, but he had a pretty good week and nobody did some super high jumps on him, so I was allowed to take him and practice my skills a little bit. The reason why I'm using Pepper to practice my jumps and not any other of my horses, my 2 horses, is because Petunia is too young and my other horse is currently recovering from a little bit of an injury. I mean, she just injured her hoof in a pasture since it's cold and she slipped on the ice. This isn't anything serious, but I cannot overdo it. I don't even ride her because I don't want this to turn to something more serious. I'm gonna be jumping 110 centimeters at most. Maybe I'll try a 120, but I don't know if Pepper will be up to it. I will judge. He likes jumping, but again, he is getting older and I do not want to injure a horse of my employer. Which is also why I made sure to warm up his muscles and joints properly before the jumping. I'm glad I got permission to ride Pepper and practice jumping because I really miss this feeling of flying over obstacles. Besides, I do have a soft spot for Pepper, not only because I used to compete on him in the past, but also because he used to be my lesson horse before I had horses. And even now, despite having 2 show horses myself, I hope I get one last chance to compete with Pepper before he retires, because I just really love him. And I loved this feeling of competing with him whenever I rode him into a competition to show rank, because he and I were just so in sync. True story is, I used to want to lease or maybe even buy Pepper from the SEC, but then events in my life just happened differently and I ended up with two different horses. But they're also amazing, they're really amazing, I have nothing against them, but me and Pepper, we just were something when I came here to the SEC. You know, I'm pretty sure that this is a universal equestrian experience, but everybody in this sport probably had a moment where they clicked with a horse. And this was me and Pepper. Which is why I'm happy whenever I can work with him, because it's just such a good throwback. Pepper's stall is next to Bruce's stall, the horse you met in my last video, and they're the bestest friends forever. Just look at the cute interaction I managed to record between them. All my tasks of the day have been completed, so now I can take off my helmet and change into some different shoes, some warmer ones, because my toes are freezing in my riding boots. I leave the barn to consult with the stable hand Judy and a couple other students if we did all the tasks that have been assigned to us for this day. After all, we do not want to be skipping anything that was our responsibility. After I make sure that I'm free for the day, I go back to one of my horses, Petunia, to give her a little brush, an apple, and a little pet, because she's just so adorable and I love her. Summing up my day, I think it was pretty productive, and I'm glad that I managed to complete all the tasks that were assigned to me. I'm also happy that I managed to practice my riding skills, because these days I also have to focus on my horses, not only on myself. So sometimes it is hard to practice things that are hard for me. Because when you have a horse that's, for example, inexperienced or young, you need to do different things than you would, for example, be able to do on an older horse that knows their stuff. Overall, I'm really happy because I am doing what I want to be doing in my life. I'm taking care of horses, I'm riding, I'm competing, so I'm very satisfied actually with what's happening right now. We have an intense time of year upcoming here at the SEC, and I hope I'll be able to record everything for you because I think this is really worth showing, and I really hope that I'll be able to manage my time accordingly. And with that said, see you in my next video. Bye!